So what I'm going to talk to you is about business value. Now, so we say understand, observe, ideate, prototype. You roughly understood this whole 4 process, right? And we talk about business value because innovation is about the creation of value, right? You must be able to estimate it somehow, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll go through the theory of what business value is all about, and then there is going to be a short tutorial before we close it for the day. Okay? So I'm going to start with this. I don't know how much this is. I think this is, I don't know, 1 million or 3 million or 5 million US. That's how it looks like. That's a lot of money. So assume for the time being that every month you get a stack of money, this much money, just given to you. Your grandfather is rich, your great-grandfather is rich, they have left a lot of money, and every month you get a stack of money like this. Okay? What would you do? Huh? What's that? Donate. So quick. Don't you want... Donate to who? Donate to who? Okay. Hey guys, it's recorded. So... We just need to be careful what we say. Honestly, what would you do? Imagine that every month you get a stack of money like that. Just say 5 million US. What would you do? Invest. Carefree life. Come on, guys. Talk to me. What would you do? Sorry? So quick. You start giving to charity. Huh? Make more money. Are you sure you do not want to spend first? Don't you want a Rolex watch? I don't know, a private aircraft, a private island? Don't you want those? You guys don't want those? You have too much already. Guys, I designed the slides in a certain sequence because I want you guys to have an impact at the end of it, okay? So play along. If you have this much money on a monthly basis, what would you do? Seriously. Scholarship? Huh? Invest. You start investing. Don't you want to enjoy first? No. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so how many of you say you'll invest? Okay, how many of you say you'll donate it away? Okay. So what about the rest? What about the rest? Buy a house. Buy a house. Okay. You can buy a castle. You can buy a country. You can buy an island, right? Let's just say that. Come on, guys. Yes? Safe. It is already in a safe. Why do you want to... Okay, so someone was asking question, what would I do? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm looked after. So I'm going to go for my, I don't know, I can't eat much, so I'm just going to enjoy all kind of good stuff, right? Then you reach a certain point where I say, I'm tired of it. How many rich food can I eat? How many gold can I put on myself? How many diamonds can I put on myself? How many pens can I buy? So you reach a certain point where I'm going to say, I would do something good for the community, right? So I think seriously, if you think about it, the first thing you would do is that you enjoy yourself first. You have all the things that you want. After that, you would donate it away, okay? You got more than enough. In the process of donating it away, you would then realize, I don't have enough. Would you agree? In the process of you trying to save the poor, in the process of you trying to donate it to some, I do not know, whatever agencies or individual, you would realize you don't have enough. Just imagine how many hungry people there are in this world. 5 million. How many can you help? Not much. Agree? Only at that point in time, you start thinking about, can I use those money to make more money so then I can help more people? Agree? Would you agree? Okay. Now, assume that you're at a point where you yourself have got everything taken care of. You got a private jet, you got a private boat, you got a private island, you got a private cinema, you got a private university, you got a private whatever. Okay. And you start helping charity. So the homeless everywhere, right? And then you say, look, I want to do more. And then you would want to say, whatever money I have, I want to make more out of it. So using money to make more money, right? Assuming that you're at that stage right now. Are you mentally at that stage? Are you at that stage? If you're at that stage, this is a real guy, Sal Griffith. He comes to you and he says, I got this invention. This invention can make spectacles very, very cheap. Okay? There's a market for it, so shows you all kind of data. So let me give you a bio of Sal Griffith. He holds multiple degrees. He has a PhD from MIT. He holds multiple awards. He holds multiple patents. This guy is a proven inventor. He comes to you and he says, I got this invention, but I need money to make it happen. Okay? The question is, how would you decide? Or me in front of you, I said, I got this design. You got money? I don't. But I got a design. This design, if I can get it to work, we can make a lot of money. How would you decide? How would you decide to say, okay, I give you 1 million, 10 million, whatever, for me to finish up my technology? How would you decide? Insurance? You will insure that I will get the money. So you buy insurance? Oh, so you ask me to ensure that I guarantee that it will work, is it? Is there another way? So you're asking me for a prototype. So what does it mean? You want proof that it works. Agree? What else? What else would you want to know? How many people want it? So you want to know the market size. How long would I take? Okay, what else do you want to know? After how long can I get the money? Return on investment. So how long is the break-even period? So he wants to know, if he invests a certain amount, at what point in time would we break even and start taking his money back? Right? Agree? Would you guys be thinking like that? You would, right? So I'm going to flip it around now. You guys are the poor fella, but with an idea. Okay? Now you want money. You know how they decide, right? Just now you were sitting there, you had the money, and someone come to you and you say, I want to see prototype, I want to know how long it takes for the return on my investment and things like that. Now, flip yourself around. You are the one with the technology. You don't have money. You're standing in front of some bankers or some venture capitalists. They have the money. What would you tell them? What would you tell them in such a way that they would invest in you? Make sense? So I'm going to teach you a tool where you could do that. So essentially, it is the value in whatever you have, right? Okay? The value of the item that you have with you. So let me tell you two stories. Not the right picture, but real story. His name is Richard. Richard is his real name. I won't tell you his last name. We used to work together in NEC Australia. When I first joined the company, this guy has got a soldering tip that is badly worn. He came to me and says, I've been asking for a new soldering tip and the boss would not give it to me. Okay? Then everyone just tell him, hey Richard, all you need to do is justify for it. You must be able to justify why you need a tip, a new tip. The tip is what? The 3 tips that he wanted would be like 30 Aussie dollar. I could give it to him. But he cannot even give the justification for 30 Aussie dollar for him to buy the soldering tip. 3 years later when I left, at that point in time, he got his tip. Okay? Let me share with you the story of Martin. Again, real case. When, Martin and I work together in Intel. On my last day at Intel, he says, come, I'll show you a lot of secret because this is the last day, you will not be able to see this anymore. So he flipped open and says, this was the defect, we fix it, how much it saved the company, and what did I get out of it. And so he showed me all the defect that Intel has gone through and how his team fixed it. He's a failure analysis team manager. Okay? Now what Martin did was this. When there is something not working, his team analyzed what is the cost, and his team come up with a solution for it. He keeps track of what project, what fixes he did, and how much it saved the company. Okay? Every year, come review. Every year, come the review time. He says, boss, this project, I save you 500 million. This project, I save you how many million? At the end of the day, that one whole year, right, he would save the company hundreds of million. And he says, all I ask is 1% for new, not for himself, for new equipment. All he asks is a small percentage of the savings he saved the company, and then he used it to buy new equipment. And at the time, this was 1990, mid-90s. He has the best FA lab in the world. This was in Penang. This is not even in the US. And people from IBM even come to his lab to study from him. How does he do it? He only keeps track of all the savings he has for the company, and he's only asking a small percentage, 1%, 2%, 3%. He can go and buy new equipment, right? So his lab becomes so well equipped that it allows him to do even bigger and better things. Okay? What does this mean? What this means is this. I give you another case. I won't tell you who this person is. This person is an accountant. She studied the books of the company and say, hey boss, I think we need to do this or we need to do that. And then by just doing a bit of this and that, it allows the company to say, hey government, I think I can you can deduct certain kind of tax from me. By her understanding the regulations, right? She saved the company lots of tax money. Legal, there's nothing illegal about it. Okay? Or they may say, hey, since we are operating in a certain currency, my functional currency is whatever. Or if my functional currency is in US dollar or whatever, I could get loaned at a cheaper rate. Things like that. Simple things like that save the company a lot of money. All she needs to do, say for instance, just imagine, you do something and it saves the company 100 million. You go to your boss and you say, can I have 1%? Do you think I'll give it to you? 1% not for you. 1% in terms of, I want equipment for my lab. The company didn't give it to you. The company still give itself, right? Just partition a small, 100 million, and that's a million for me to buy equipment. It's okay, nothing wrong with that, right? Remember the story I told you about Roland Tay? He helps his uncle fix something, and the uncle came back and told us that it saved him 2 million that year, right? All I said was that, Roland, go ask your uncle for a Camry. 200,000, 2 million, what is that? 10%. Okay or not? The next year, his uncle is going to save another 2 million. He's not going to buy him another Camry. Agree? So if you are the uncle, would you give him the Camry? No issue, right? It's a no-brainer. Make sense? Now, this approach upon which you use value to justify for something is what we call business value. So I want to show you a video. Do you think there's a value for roundabout or a traffic junction? I'll show you a video, and then you pay attention to how he justified the cost of a junction. Okay.
I only have 3 minutes, so I'm going to have to talk fast, and it'll use up your experimental cycles, so multitasking may be hard. So 27 years ago, I got a traffic ticket that got me thinking. I've had some time to think it over, and energy efficiency is more than just about the vehicle. It's also about the road. Road design makes a difference, particularly intersections, of which there are two types, signalized and unsignalized, which means stop signs. 50% of crashes happen in intersections. Roundabouts are much better. A study of 24 intersections have found crashes drop 40% from when you convert a traffic light into a roundabout. Injury crashes have dropped 76%, fatal crashes down 90%. But that's just safety. What about time and gas? So traffic keeps flowing, so that means less braking, which means less accelerating, less gas, and less pollution. Less time wasted, and that partly accounts for Europe's better efficiency than we have in the United States. So unsignalized intersections, meaning stop signs, they save many lives, but there's an excessive proliferation of them. Small roundabouts are starting to appear. This is one in my neighborhood, and they are much better. They're better than traffic lights, better than four-way stop signs. They're expensive to install, but they're more expensive not to, so we should look at that. But they're not applicable in all situations. So take, for example, the three-way intersection. So it's logical that you would have one there on the minor road entering the major, but the other two are somewhat questionable. So here's one, there's another one which I studied. Their cars rarely appear on that third road. And so the question is, what does that cost us? That intersection I looked at had about 3,000 cars per day in each direction, and so that's 2 ounces of gas to accelerate out of. That's 5 cents each, and times 3,000 cars per day, that's $51,000 per year. That's just the gasoline cost. There's also pollution, wear on the car, and time. What's that time worth? Well, 10 seconds per 3,000 cars, that's 8.3 hours per day. That's at average wage in the US is $20 an hour. That is $60,000 per year. Add that together with the gas, and it's $112,000 per year just for that sign in each direction. Discount that back to the present at 5%. Over $2 million for a stop sign in each direction. Now, if you look at what that adjacent property is worth, you could actually buy the property, cut down the shrubbery to improve the sightline, and then sell it off again, and you'd still come out ahead. So it makes one wonder, why is it there? I mean, why is there that stop sign in each direction? Because if it's saving lives. So is there a better way to accomplish that goal? The answer is to enable cars to come in from that side road safely, because there are a lot of people who might live up there, and if they're after waiting forever, the long queue could form because the cars aren't slowing down on the main road. Can that be accomplished with existing signs? So there's a long history of stop signs and yield signs. Stop signs were invented in 1915, yield signs in 1950, but that's all we got. So why not use a yield sign? Well, the meaning of yield is you must yield the right of way. That means if there are 5 cars waiting, you have to wait till they all go, then you go. It lacks the notion of alternating or taking turns. And it's always on the minor road, allowing the major one to have primacy. So it's hard to create a new meaning for the existing sign. You couldn't suddenly tell everyone, okay, remember what you used to do at yield signs, now do something different. That would not work. So what the world needs now is a new type of sign. So you have a little instruction below it, for those who didn't see the public service announcements, and it merges the stop sign and yield signs. It's kind of shaped like a T, as in taking turns, and uncertainty results in caution. When people come to an unfamiliar situation they don't know how to deal with, they slow down. So now that you're all road scholars, don't wait for that sign to be adopted. These things don't change quickly. But you all are members of communities, and you can exercise your community influence to create more sensible traffic flows. And you can have more impact on the environment just getting your neighborhood to change these things than by changing your vehicle. Thank you very much.
But anyway, the idea is there. So you notice how he actually calculates the value of the stop sign, right? So the technique that he's using is not new. My wife is an accountant, and when I was talking about this, the item in this book, she says, oh, it's Accounting 101. Okay? So what I'm going to share with you is some of the formula that is used in Accounting 101. The material that follows this comes from a book by David Schwartz. David and I used to work in the same organization in Intel. He wrote this book. He says how you measure business value of information technology. The formula is just basic Accounting 101. You could apply it anywhere else. Okay. If you do work out an ROI, return on investment, there are 2 things that you determine. One, you worked out the benefits. What kind of returns in terms of revenue or whatever the case is. The other one is your cost. if you're coming out with a solution, you know what the solution would look like. You know what you need to buy. You know what expenses you're going to have. This portion, bottom portion, is very easy to understand. But the top portion sometimes can be very difficult. So I want to share a concept from David Schwartz's book. But before I go through the detail, I just need to share some acronym with you. ASP, if you see any ASP in the formula after this, it means average selling price. I want to describe this concept of a burden rate. When tailors hire me, they pay my salary, monthly salary. They pay for some kind of medical insurance. They pay my bonus. They pay for the space I use. So that cubicle or office space that I have has got some kind of a rental cost associated with it. I flick on the switch for the light, the electricity I use. I flick on the aircon, the electricity bill associated with the aircon. So all these costs, right, they also pay for my EPF. All these costs related add up together is called the burden rate. So the cost of hiring me at Tailors is just not my salary alone. It's my salary plus all these other things. That's called burden rate. Are we okay? So say for instance, if my efficiency improve, then the burden rate, it's related to the burden rate. We'll talk about it in a short while. DOI, days of inventory. Days of inventory would be like this. There's a bakery in JB that I visited at one point in time. So when I went into the storehouse, the storage area, I asked the question, how many days of inventory do you have in there? He says 3 days. I said, how often do you get the supply coming in? Every day. So his storage has enough inventory to last him 3 days, even if there is no delivery. Make sense? So what it means is that he's got 3 days worth of inventory sitting in his warehouse, sitting in his storeroom. Now, if we free some of this money, because he got delivery every day, right? So if he were to say, I'm just keeping 1.5 days, so let's say if it is 3 million, then he free up 1.5 million. That 1.5 million that he free up, instead of a stock, he just put it in a fixed deposit. He's making money. That money you buy a stock sitting there is not earning you interest. Make sense? So that's why days of inventory is something important. Days of sales outstanding is that you sold something already. How many days before you collect your money? So the shorter the days of sales outstanding, the better. The best would be negative. They pay you first before you ship it out. Make sense? But in a lot of cases, it's like, you want to do business with me, 30 days term, 60 days term. You ship your item, then 30 days or 60 days later, they pay you, right? Sometimes they say things like, you agree 30 days term, but they forget. And they pay you on a 40 days term. That additional 10 days, you are losing out. Because the additional 10 days, if you got your money earlier, put it inside a fixed deposit, you'll still make money. Make sense? Okay. MSS, market segment share. Market segment share would be like, say, you look at all the Android phone or the Samsung phone and the iPhone. What is the market segment share each one of them has? Okay. The next one is weighted average cost of capital, or WACC, the cost of borrowing money. Now, the subsequent formulas, I know you'll fall asleep. So I'm just going to share with you a few, and then we go through an exercise for you to try and understand this whole concept of business value. Now, the first one, we call this value dials or driver, days of inventory. Remember the case I was telling you about the bakery having 3 days of inventory in his storage? Yeah. Now, if I can reduce the number of days of inventory that he keeps in his store, whatever that I do to allow him to instead of having 3 days of inventory, to have 1.5 days or 1 day of inventory, right? It allow him to free 2 days or 1.5 days of money that he needs to spend on buying inventory. Are we clear? That the reduction in days of inventory is the value. Are we clear? Okay. The calculation goes like this. Value of 1 day's worth of inventory multiplied by the number of days of inventory removed, multiplied by, I say here 15%. I copied this from David Schwartz's book. He used 15% as the cost of borrowing money. So whatever the interest rate for borrowing is for you, you just use that amount there. You don't have to use 15%. Is it clear? Okay. This term, burden of proof, says this. Average DOI must decrease by the predicted amount. What it means is this. Let's just say I do something and it allows this bakery to drop the days of inventory from 3 days to, say, 1 day. Okay. Now, I may ask him, why do you, when you have every days of, you got delivery every day, why are you keeping 3 days? He could be like, just in case. Just in case what? So if I can do something in such a way that he would always have delivery, he may be scared that there's a breach and the breach could be flooded and he wants to still have sufficient inventory to run even if the breach is flooded, right? Say, for instance, if we do something in such a way that there's an alternate route, then he says, okay, there is no need for 3 more days. I just keep 1.5 days. So you drop that 1.5 day, right? That 1.5 million free up. He takes this free, now cash, 1.5 million. He could do anything with it. He can put it in a fixed deposit, make money. He could use this to do some other investment. Without that 1.5 million, for him to do other business, he may need to borrow that 1.5 million, right? And that's what this is. If you were to have to borrow 1.5 million to go and do your other business, it costs you this much. You're whack. That's why the formula is like that. The burden of proof then says, whatever changes that you make, did the number of days of inventory actually drop from 3 days to 1.5 days? If the days of inventory did not drop whatsoever, then no change. You did not effect a change in the days of inventory. Are we clear? Are we clear? So some nodding your head, so I presume that's okay. Let me pick one. Let me pick this one. Then I'll let you guys ask question. Headcount reduction, oh, hang on. Let me pick another one. This one, headcount productivity. Let's just say, in a factory, for instance, I allow something to become, I allow, say, 1,000 people to become more efficient. So instead of doing something that takes them an hour, now it only takes them half an hour, for instance. Are we okay? So the formula says this. Number of employees affected, 1,000 in our case. The time, half an hour. Average burden rate per job. So if I say 1,000 affected, half an hour, burden rate per hour. So it becomes 1,000 times half times the burden rate per hour. Then you see here 50%. Why is there a discount? Why is there a discount of a 50% is this? The accountant says this. This is things that is approved by accountant. For instance, you free up, instead of spending 1 hour, I'm now spending 30 minutes. I got additional 30 minutes, right? That 30 minutes, I may be walking around doing non-productive work. I could be going out there smoking, or I could be, I don't know, having a coffee or chit-chatting to someone. So the half hour that is free up, I'm supposed to be working on something effective, right? But I may not use a full half hour to do something effective. Hence, accountants say you cannot claim all full half hour, only half of it. Okay? If you guys go work on a project with any company and you need to do this, the first thing you would like to do is ask the accountant, how much do you guys discount? So I have known a company that says they only discount 30%, which means it's 0.7 here. They allow you to claim up to 70%. I've seen company that says no, it's half, 0.5. Are we okay? So whichever company that you go to, you need to talk to the finance guy and make sure that they approve whatever formula that you use is approved by them. Again, it has got this burden of proof. The burden of proof is to show that whatever changes that you make actually results in the productivity gain. Okay? Let me give you a funny example for you to understand. Think of a desert somewhere. Let's say, I don't know, the desert in the middle of Central Australia. It's all sand, right? It's all dry. You cannot grow anything with it, right? But if I can turn that piece of, a patch of 100 hectares, for instance, into fertile land, that piece of land then can produce goods. Make sense? Now, if I say this, if I put my finger like that, your land in that 100 hectares in Central Australia, and that land in the central part of the desert part becomes fertile land, and then you could actually plow the land and then produce goods, then that piece of land becomes productive, right? Otherwise, it's just a piece of desert. You cannot do anything with it, right? If I put my hands like that and it rained, and that piece of land become productive, the burden of proof is to show that there's a link between my finger pointing like that and the rain in that part of the world. Can you understand? So a face shows that he doesn't understand. If I do whatever I do, if I'm proposing a design, I'm proposing a solution, right? And I am claiming the value for that design. I must be able to prove that it is the design that led to that improvement. The same with this example of finger. If my finger points that way and then it is raining in that part of the desert that makes it fertile, the burden of proof shows that I must be able to show that the link between what I do here and that rain in that desert. Okay? For you to claim that that value is due to your work, the burden of proof is to show that. Are we clear? Are we all okay? Okay. Now, they are all formulas. I know you don't want this. You can read it yourself. If you say that that's a challenge, then you have to put a value to it. That when you fix it, that would not be there. Now, some of you say, it is all over the place. I have to pay someone to collect it, right? So the cost is how much I paid for someone to go and collect it back. Do you understand? So the question that I think you guys need to first understand is that, what do you think is the challenge here? What do you think is the challenge? Huh?
The space.
So it's space. So he says it's the space. Anyone else agree, disagree? Time to move the trolley. Okay. In that kind of case, then you have to collect statistics to show how much time it has delayed, right? And then translate that into, like the case earlier, then translate that into dollar value. What else? For you, better to return the trolley. A method to return the trolley. Say more. How is that a challenge? Okay. If I look at this, the first thing I want to know is that how much is it costing anyone? If the trolley damaged anybody's car, if it damaged anybody's car, someone is going to pay for it, right? So the first thing I would do is that I would look for possibilities of or cases of a scratch or things like that. Then I'll talk to the shopping mall and ask them this question: how many incidents do you have? How much is it costing you on average? If the numbers comes out small, I don't care. Not something worth solving. Make sense? But if, for instance, someone inside tells me that, oh, you know, we have got how many cases per month or per day or per week or whatever the case is, and on average it costs us this much, that if the number is big, here I come. I'm interested in it. If it is not big, I'm not interested. Am I making sense? This example is for you to realize, to try and figure out what are the possible causes, right? What are the difficulties with cases like this? And what is the cost associated with wrong class? What is the cost associated with it? Because the moment I fix it, the cost that is associated with it disappear. That cost that disappear, what is going to happen is that it becomes my BV. Am I making sense? Okay, clear. Next one, last one. These are all real cases, by the way. Student project. Let's say you are a semester 2 design module coordinator, like me. Okay, a student come to you and say, sir or miss or madam or whatever the case may be, say that I want a project to build a car. And you ask how much, he says 5,300. Now, at that point in time, every project, no one knows how to build a car, and then every project is limited to 200 ringgit. Okay? How would you decide whether to approve this project or not? One more time. You are a module coordinator like myself, and one of the students come to you and say, I want to build a car. Now, at that point in time, you do not know of anyone in the school that can build a car. And not only that, he's asking for 5,003 when the limit for every project is only 200 ringgit. How would you decide whether to approve the project or not? Okay, so how do you measure the return on investment? Okay, in what way do you market it? Okay, so let me pick on that. If, for instance, if I take a bunch of students, go for a competition, and we won, let's just say, then the newspaper write about it, a certain size article about the competition and mention our name. Okay, that's called media value. Because for me to buy an advertisement of that size cost me money. Now, because I won the competition, someone wrote about me and has got an article of a certain size. You know, newspaper they are selling space, right? That area. So how much? So the media value of that winning is the space that someone wrote about us. That space, right? How much would it have cost us if we were to pay for it? Am I making sense? So whatever I do, say for instance, I just bring some students to a competition and we won, and then there is a newspaper article. I am going to go back to my boss and say, the media value I bring in for the competition is this much. And I look at the space and how much I would have paid for that space. Make sense? So likewise, this car, very similar to what you're saying. How else do you want to justify it? Anyone? He's based on his proposal. Okay, this is a real case. His name is Yoon Kit. Real case. So the story goes like that. This design module used to be a semester 2 design module. Okay, we were in LT7 or LT8. He was sitting at one corner. So we at that point in time we flash out the list of project. He doesn't want any. So when I came to him and he says, "Sir, can I work on something else?" I said, "What do you want to do?" He says, "I want to build a car." Now in my head it was like, "Oh yeah, really? Second semester you want to build a car?" So I said, "Can you?" Of course he's lying. He said, "Yeah, I can." He says, "Okay." I walked away, came back, and baby face smile. He says, "Can I? Can I?" So I said, "Can you really do it?" He turned around his laptop and there was a CAD drawing of a chassis of a car. Then in my head was, "Oh gee, this guy have done his homework." I said, "How much do you need?" Straight away he says 5,003. I said, "Oh gee, he's either guessing or he has done his homework." So I said, "Can you really do it?" He said, "I can." Okay. I walked away thinking, what am I going to do with this? Came back, he bullied or sweet talks 2 other friends and say, "Sir, I got my team." Okay. And I said yes, without asking my boss. When the limit was only 200 ringgit, I said yes. I'm using this same technique as a means to justify, very similar to what you're saying. So in my head, I'm gambling. I constantly gamble with someone saying, "Hey, sir, I want to do this." If I see there is a potential to do something, I'll say yes, even if it costs us money. Honestly, I actually paid that 5,003 first myself. So my claim was a very thick stack at the end of the semester. Now what happened in that case, how I make this decision is this. It is a gamble, yes. But my thinking is that if I can have, like what you say, that car on display, and if that car can bring in 1 student, how much are you paying for that 4 years here? That's a good answer. It's a lot more than that 5,003, right? So my gamble is that if he can, looking at him and the kind of homework that he has done, if he can design that car, and if I with that car can bring in 1 student, I got my returns. right? The value of that car is the number of students we brought in. The burden of proof is to do a survey to say, why did you come? If a number of students says, I come because of the car, I won. So when we took the car out on display on open day and things like that, the number of people, actually little kids, sat in the car, have their photograph taken, I knew we won. It is a complete gamble. Last semester, I gambled on one team, I lost. They produced nothing. Yeah, there's another, seriously, I got nothing. It cost me 100 plus only, but I got nothing. Are you guys clear? The way business value work is that I'm trying to find ways to justify in a dollar and cents term, right? And I'll twist the reasoning in such a way that it's still logical, but it's convincing. Hence the term, when we were in Intel, we used the term, I'm cooking up value. It looks as though you're cooking up something, you're trying to create it, but it makes sense. It makes sense to the extent that even the finance people would approve it. Okay? Roland Tay's case of how he saved his uncle 2 million. You know how they calculate that? The company is this. If a company want to send out brochures or send out things to a long list of subscribers or customer, right? So what this company does is that they pack everything together in a mail and then ship it to Post Office Malaysia, and then they ship it out, right? If they make a mistake in terms of name and address, they have to scrap the whole lot, start all over again. Okay? Every time they scrap a lot, one batch, easily cost them 30,000. Easily. So based on their history, they are losing a lot of money, like 2 million a year. Okay? Now what Roland Tay and his friends did was that when they analyzed it, they find the root cause. The root cause was the spreadsheet that the company gave them, meaning the company sent them information on the customer and the address, and there are errors in there. Nothing to do with the company at all. They just print what was given in a spreadsheet, and because of that error, it cost them money, right? So what Roland and his friend did was to write a small little macro. Every time a Excel spreadsheet comes in, they run the macro. The macro just check for certain common errors. And the uncle found out that by just doing that simple little thing, it has reduced the error to something so insignificant that he estimated it to be at least 2 million. Like that, right? So burden of proof in that case would be the number of incidents that such error occur must come down. Make sense? Clear? Question. We are 3 hours in, we still got 1 hour. You ask your question. I don't want to start a new topic. You ask your question. Why this is important is that we have gone through understand, observe, ideate, protect, business value. So next time when you go out today, whatever you see, you must be able to come up with some kind of estimate of business value. Is the project worth working on or not? If the value is low, ignore it. If the value is high, bite on it. Try and find a solution for it. Okay? That's how you find project that's got business value. Clear? Question?